Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. It's small. It's copper. It's a penny. Most people don't think twice when they see one. They toss it in a jar, slide it across a counter, or watch it disappear under a car seat. But what if I told you that a single Lincoln penny from 1964 could be worth more than a brand new luxury SUV? Yes, the humble 1964 Lincoln cent, the kind you might find hiding at the bottom of an old box, could be worth thousands, if it has the right secrets. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1964 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that looks simple on the outside, but may hide rare errors, unique varieties, and surprising value on the inside. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone just beginning their journey into the world of numismatics, this is a story you won't want to miss. Let's rewind to the year 1964. The Beatles were exploding in popularity. The civil rights movement was making history. America was in the heart of transformation, and yet through all this change, one thing stayed the same: the Lincoln cent. That year, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, as usual. The coin bore the same design introduced in 1909, the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust." Above, liberty, to the left, and the year, 1964, to the right. On the reverse, we still had the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the wheat ears just 5 years earlier, in 1959. Framed in crisp lines, the memorial is detailed, and if you look closely enough on some well-struck coins, you can even make out the statue of Lincoln sitting inside. So what's so special about the 1964 Lincoln penny? After all, it was one of the most heavily produced coins of its time. Over 6.4 billion were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and another 3.8 billion in Denver. That's more than 10 billion pennies in a single year. But as every coin collector knows, rarity isn't just about how many were made, it's about how many survived with the right combination of errors and condition. That's where things get interesting. Some 1964 pennies were struck with double die errors, one of the most sought after and valuable mistakes in all of coin collecting. These are coins where parts of the design appear doubled due to a slight misalignment during the die creation process. On some 1964 cents, this doubling can be seen on the date, the word liberty, or even the letters in God We Trust. Spot one of these, and you're looking at a rare variety worth far more than 1 cent. Then there's the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In 1964, Denver minted pennies were hand-punched with the D mint mark. And sometimes, the punch was done twice, slightly off from the first. The result is a visible shadow D, a layering effect that makes the coin both rare and collectible. These RPM varieties, especially those with bold and clear doubling, are known to fetch premium prices among experts. We also have off-center strikes, where the coin was misaligned during minting, leaving a blank crescent on one side and pushing the design toward the edge. Depending on how much of the design is missing, and whether the date is still visible, these coins can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. There's more. Some 1964 Lincoln cents were struck on foreign planchets, or on blanks intended for other denominations. These are extremely rare errors, such as a penny struck on a dime blank, resulting in a lighter weight, different color, and a strange feel in the hand. If verified by a grading service, a coin like this becomes the kind of treasure that sends collectors into a frenzy. Another category of valuable errors includes die breaks, cuds, and struck-throughs, where debris or grease interfered with the striking process, leaving unusual textures or missing parts in the design. Some of these errors are obvious. Others are subtle. But all of them add uniqueness and value. But even with all these errors and varieties, there's one more critical factor: condition. Most 1964 pennies have lived hard lives. They've been dropped, scratched, handled, and forgotten. They're brown, dull, and worn down. But occasionally, one turns up in brilliant red uncirculated condition, full of original mint luster, untouched by circulation. These are known as mint state red coins, and when graded MS-65 or higher, they can be quite valuable even without an error. Now imagine combining mint state red condition with a dramatic doubled die or a repunched mint mark. Suddenly, you have something truly special. The kind of coin that doesn't just sit in a folder. It sits in a museum-worthy collection. That's what makes the 1964 Lincoln penny so exciting. It's not just about age. It's not just about rarity. It's about the hidden stories that lie behind tiny imperfections. It's about the thrill of finding something unusual in the most ordinary of places. So whether you're going through old coin rolls, checking pocket change, or just flipping through a family collection, take a moment to really look at those 1964 pennies. You never know what secrets they might be holding, because among them, somewhere out there, is one extraordinary example. A 1964 Lincoln cent, struck with a rare mint error, preserved in stunning red uncirculated condition, has been verified and sold for an incredible total of $124,000. That's right. A 1-cent coin that changed someone's life. So keep your eyes open. Keep searching. Because the next time you look at a simple penny, you might just be looking at a small fortune. Top 2. We're diving deep into this incredible little coin, a piece of American history that might seem common at first glance, until you learn its secrets. So if you're a coin collector, a treasure hunter, or someone who just enjoys the thrill of discovering hidden value, stay with me and listen very carefully. This might be one of the most important videos you watch this year. Let's begin by traveling back to the early 1970s. The Vietnam War was still ongoing. The Watergate scandal was on the horizon. The economy was shifting, and the United States Mint was continuing its tradition of striking the nation's most used coin, the Lincoln 1-cent penny. In 1973, over 5 billion pennies were minted in total. That's right, billions with a B. Most of them were made at the Philadelphia Mint, some in Denver, with a D mint mark, and a smaller amount in San Francisco as proof coins for collectors. At first glance, the 1973 Lincoln penny looks exactly like the others. On the front, you see the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, serious, thoughtful, and symbolic of American endurance. His bust faces right, with the word Liberty stamped to the left and the year 1973 just below the shoulder on the right. Above it all, the timeless phrase, "In God We Trust." Flip it over, and you're met with the bold and powerful image of the Lincoln Memorial. Crisp lines, columns reaching skyward. The words, "United States of America," arched across the top, 1 cent across the bottom. And right in the middle, though often overlooked, the tiny silhouette of Abraham Lincoln, seated inside the memorial. A coin within a coin, some collectors like to say. So how does a coin so common become something extraordinary? It all comes down to rarity, errors, and condition, the holy trinity of coin collecting. Let's talk errors first, because this is where things get seriously exciting. Point 1 of the most dramatic and valuable errors in 1973 pennies is the doubled die. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin is improperly manufactured, causing a doubled image on the coin itself. When this occurs on the obverse, you might see doubling on the date, Liberty, or even the words "I in God We Trust." These aren't subtle. In high-grade examples, the doubling is sharp, clear, and unmistakable. These are prized by collectors for their beauty and rarity. Next, we have the repunched mint mark, often seen on the 1973 D Lincoln penny. Back then, mint marks were still being hand-punched onto dies, which meant occasional errors in alignment. Sometimes the D was punched more than once, slightly off position. Under magnification, you'll see shadows or ghost-like images of a second D. These RPMs are fascinating and extremely collectible, but we're just getting started. Let's talk about off-center strikes. These are coins that were not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be stamped off to one side. Some coins are barely off, others are dramatically misaligned, with as much as 50% of the coin blank. As long as the full date is visible, collectors go wild for these. The more off-center, the better. Another rare type is the broad strike, where the collar, the part that holds the coin's shape, malfunctions, allowing the coin to spread out and appear larger and flatter than usual. These errors are easy to recognize, but hard to find. One of the most thrilling discoveries are coins struck on the wrong planchet. This means the 1973 penny was mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, like a dime, or even a foreign coin. These result in coins that weigh less, look different, and are often dramatically under or oversized. If authenticated, these errors can command thousands of dollars. Then we have die clashes, die cracks, and struck-throughs, all different kinds of mint errors that collectors carefully search for. Die clashes occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a blank in place, transferring part of one design onto the other. Cracks and cuts form when parts of the die break, leaving raised areas on the coin. Struck-throughs happen when something like grease or string gets between the die and the blank, leaving an unusual indentation. Now, let's talk about condition, and this is where ordinary coins become truly valuable. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, and any Lincoln penny from 1973 that survives today in mint state, especially at MS 66 or higher, is very desirable. But to be truly rare and valuable, it must also have strong red luster, the original bright coppery glow it had the day it left the mint. These are referred to as MS Red RD coins. If a 1973 penny still shines like new, with no signs of wear, and especially if it also has an error, it becomes a numismatic jackpot. Imagine this: a 1973 Lincoln penny with a dramatic doubled die, preserved in pristine red mint state, free from scratches and marks. A time capsule from over 50 years ago. That's not just a penny anymore, that's a collector's dream. And it's not just about the money. For many collectors, it's about the thrill of the hunt. The joy of discovery. The idea that one small coin, forgotten by most, holds a story, a mistake, a moment in time, that makes it unlike any other. So if you've got jars of old change, rolls of pennies, or inherited a dusty coin album from a grandparent, it's time to take a second look. Get a magnifying glass. Check the date. Examine every detail. Because the 1973 penny might not just be a common coin after all. One such coin, a true gem of a 1973 Lincoln cent, featuring a sharp mint error and preserved in brilliant uncirculated red condition, has sold for a staggering price of $104,000. From 1 cent to 6 figures. That's the power of knowledge. That's the excitement of the hobby. And that's why collectors never stop searching. So don't just look at your change. Study it. Treasure it. Because your next big discovery could be hiding in plain sight. Top 3. What if I told you that a penny from the year 1975, yes, a single 1-cent coin, could be worth more than most people earn in an entire year? Not in gold, not in silver, but plain old copper, or so it seems. Welcome to the fascinating world of the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that millions of people have passed through their hands, spent without a second thought, and dropped into piggy banks or forgotten jars. But hidden among those ordinary pennies is something extraordinary, a few coins that are so rare, so perfectly flawed, and so incredibly preserved, they've gone on to fetch mind-blowing amounts in the collector market. If you're a coin lover, a casual collector, or even someone new to numismatics, listen closely. Because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a 1975 penny the same way again. Let's start with the history. The year is 1975. The Vietnam War is drawing to a close. America is recovering from Watergate. Technology is advancing, disco is on the rise, and inflation is changing how Americans see their money. Amid all of this, the U.S. Mint continues one of its most consistent duties, producing Lincoln pennies. That year, the penny was struck in 3 mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a small d; and San Francisco, used mainly for proof coins with an S mint mark. In total, more than 10 billion Lincoln cents were struck in 1975. On the surface, that makes it seem like the 1975 penny should be one of the most common coins out there. But here's where the magic begins. Not all 1975 Lincoln cents are created equal. Sure, The design looks familiar: President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But some of these coins were born differently. Due to small mistakes at the mint, a few of these pennies turned out to be numismatic treasures. Let's take a closer look at what makes some 1975 pennies so rare and expensive. One of the most important factors is errors, and 1975 had its fair share. Among the most valuable are the doubled die errors. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is improperly prepared, resulting in doubling of the design elements. On some 1975 pennies, you can see clear and bold doubling on the date, the word Liberty, or even "I in God We Trust." These aren't just minor misprints, they're highly collectible minting mistakes that send values soaring when discovered in high grade. Another type of error collectors seek out is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. On 1975 D coins, where the D mint mark was added by hand to the die, some coins were punched more than once, slightly misaligned, leading to a ghost-like shadow behind the mint mark. RPMs are loved by error collectors and grow more valuable depending on how distinct the repunching is. We also have off-center strikes, where the coin was improperly placed in the press, leading to a partially blank, misaligned coin. If the date remains visible and the strike is dramatic, say, 50% or more off-center, the value can increase significantly. Another rare occurrence is a broad strike, when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that shapes its edge. These coins appear slightly larger and flatter than normal and are visually very noticeable. Now imagine a 1975 penny struck on the wrong planchet, for example, a dime, or even a foreign coin blank. These off-metal errors are incredibly rare but real, and when certified, can reach unbelievable values. Their weight, color, and size often give them away. Don't forget about die breaks, cuds, and struck-throughs, all of which result in coins with unusual bumps, missing parts, or strange textures caused by grease, debris, or broken dies during the striking process. These types of flaws may look strange to the average person, but for collectors, they're beautiful. But even without errors, there's another way a 1975 penny can become extremely valuable: its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin with no wear, perfect strike, original luster, and no contact marks may earn a grade of mint state 65 or higher, and that's where values jump dramatically. Combine a high grade with a rare error or variety, and suddenly that 1-cent coin is no longer just a penny. There's even more to consider: color designation. Lincoln cents come in 3 categories: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and full red, RD. Full red coins, which have retained their original copper luster, are the most valuable. A 1975 penny in mint state 67 red with a rare error can command a hefty premium, especially if it's certified by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC. And don't overlook proof coins, those struck at the San Francisco Mint for collectors. Although not intended for circulation, sometimes proof coins can accidentally make their way into pocket change. If you ever spot a 1975 proof penny in the wild, with its mirror-like fields and frosted design, you're holding something very special. So, what does this all mean? It means that any 1975 Lincoln penny, the one you just found under your car seat or at the bottom of a jar, could potentially be rare. It could carry a valuable mint error, a special variety, or be in such pristine condition that collectors would pay a premium just to own it. The secret lies in close examination, patience, and a sharp eye. Use a magnifying glass. Check the date. Inspect the mint mark. Look for signs of doubling, odd shapes, off-center designs, and unusual surfaces. We're not talking about a 1 in a billion chance. These rare varieties are out there, and they have been found in pocket change, coin rolls, and family collections. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for: one exceptional 1975 Lincoln penny, struck with a dramatic mint error, preserved in brilliant uncirculated red condition, and graded at the highest level, shocked the numismatic world by reaching a value of $94,000. That's right. A penny. 1 cent worth $94,000. So never ignore your pennies. They may be small, but as you've just seen, their value can be massive. Keep collecting, keep searching, And most of all, keep believing. Because your next big discovery might be hiding in the smallest place imaginable. Top 4. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than the coin's face value. Imagine pulling out an ordinary-looking penny from your pocket, only to realize it's not just old copper, it's a hidden treasure. That's exactly the case with the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that looks like any other, yet for a lucky few collectors, has turned into something truly extraordinary. Today, we're going on a fascinating journey, into the past, through the U.S. Mint, and into the world of rare errors and incredible value, all wrapped up in one small, round copper coin. If you've ever wondered how a simple penny could command massive attention and bring in tens of thousands of dollars, keep watching, because this story will leave you amazed. Let's begin in the year 1977. The United States was celebrating the bicentennial era. Jimmy Carter had just taken office as president. Pop culture was exploding with the rise of disco and Star Wars. But behind the scenes, in the world of coins, the U.S. Mint continued its everyday task, striking the Lincoln 1-cent coin, the same coin Americans had been using since 1909. That year, billions of Lincoln pennies were produced, over 4.4 billion in Philadelphia, 4.2 billion in Denver, and 3.2 million in San Francisco for proof sets. With those massive numbers, you'd think a 1977 penny is about as common as it gets. And for the most part, you'd be right. But here's the secret: it's not about how many were made, it's about how few were made with the mistakes. And those mistakes, also known as mint errors, are what can make a regular penny become a collector's dream. Let's talk about some of those rare and valuable errors that appeared in the 1977 Lincoln cent. First and foremost is the legendary double die error. This happens during the hubbing process, where a working die is imprinted with the coin's design. If the die shifts even slightly during the process, the result is a doubled image. On 1977 pennies, this doubling is most often seen on the date, the word Liberty, and In God We Trust. A double die coin, especially in uncirculated condition, is one of the most desirable finds in all of numismatics. Next is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Back in 1977, mint marks were still being manually added to dies. This led to some being punched more than once in slightly different spots, creating a shadow mint mark effect, often on coins from Denver with the D mint mark. These small variations, when certified and graded, can fetch impressive prices. Another rare and valuable error from 1977 is the off-center strike. When the coin blank, also known as the planchet, is misaligned inside the press, the resulting strike can land partially off the coin's surface. Some of these coins are 10%, 30%, even 50% off-center. If the date remains visible, collectors will pay a high premium for them. There are also broad strikes, which occur when the collar die, the part that shapes the coin's edge, fails during striking. This causes the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter, appearing stretched or flat. Add in an error like this with perfect detail and no wear, and you're looking at a highly collectible piece. Then there's the struck-through error, where foreign materials, like grease, fabric, or wire, get between the die and planchet. This leaves strange, often dramatic impressions on the coin. Sometimes whole sections of the design are missing or blurred. These coins are not only valuable, they're one of a kind. Now let's talk about a truly special error, the wrong planchet strike. In rare cases, a 1977 penny may have been mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another coin, like a dime or a foreign denomination. These off-metal errors are extremely rare and very valuable, especially if confirmed by third-party grading services. But rarity is only part of the equation. The other major factor is condition. Collectors look for coins that have been untouched by time, with full original luster, no scratches, no wear. These coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin that grades MS 65 or higher is considered high-end. But to truly be a standout, a 1977 Lincoln penny should also have its full red copper color, referred to in coin grading as red RD. A 1977 penny with a strong error in MS 67 red is a unicorn in the hobby world. Even a standard 1977 penny with no errors, if it's graded MS-68 or higher with blazing red brilliance, can bring in serious money, because so few survive in that pristine state. And let's not forget the proof coins, made at the San Francisco Mint and never intended for circulation. With their mirror-like fields and frosted design elements, these 1977 S-proof pennies are collectible on their own. But any unusual feature or error can skyrocket their value. So how do you find one of these gems? Start by checking your change. Search through coin rolls. Visit garage sales, estate auctions, or coin shops. And if you find a 1977 penny that looks off, whether it's the color, the shape, the strike, or the mint mark, hold on to it. Examine it under a magnifier. Weigh it. And if it seems truly unusual, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for verification. Because out there, among the billions of ordinary 1977 pennies, a few have turned out to be extraordinary. One such coin, a 1977 Lincoln 1-cent piece struck with a dramatic error, preserved in mint red condition, and graded to perfection, has taken the coin collecting world by storm by selling for the impressive sum of $89,000. Yes, that's $89,000 for a coin originally worth just 1 cent. It's proof that treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's copper. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. So check your pockets, your jars, and your old coin folders. Because your next big discovery might just be that 1977 penny you almost overlooked, and that 1 cent could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 5. It's round. It's copper. It's easy to ignore. But sometimes, the smallest, most ordinary-looking coin can hide a secret that turns it into a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, used in vending machines, dropped into piggy banks, or tossed aside without a second thought. But hidden among those countless coins are rare, error-filled pieces worth thousands. Yes, thousands. So if you're a coin collector, a treasure hunter, or someone who simply enjoys discovering unexpected value, then keep watching this video until the end. Because the 1980 penny might look humble, but in the right condition, with the right flaws, it can become a jaw-dropping prize. Let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Ronald Reagan is campaigning for president. The Rubik's Cube is becoming a worldwide sensation. The U.S. economy is in flux, inflation is high, and yet the penny, the lowest denomination in circulation, continues to roll off the presses at the United States Mint. That year, 3 mints were involved in striking the Lincoln cent, Philadelphia, with no mint mark Denver, with a D mint mark San Francisco, where special proof coins were created for collectors, marked with an S. All 3 struck the familiar design, President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, his profile stern, focused, and instantly recognizable. The words, "In God We Trust," arc above his head. Liberty rests to the left, and the date, 1980, is stamped to the right. On the reverse, the bold and beautiful Lincoln Memorial stands tall, complete with the tiny, often unnoticed statue of Lincoln seated inside. With over 12 billion Lincoln cents produced that year, the 1980 penny seems like the definition of common. But here's where the story flips. Because in the world of numismatics, it's not just about how many were made, it's about how rare the best, most unusual, and most flawless examples are today. Let's start with one of the most thrilling aspects of coin collecting, mint errors. One of the most coveted errors in 1980 Lincoln cents is the double die. These happen when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice during the die-making process, slightly misaligned. The result is clear, dramatic doubling on areas like the date, the mint mark, Liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust." When you find one of these errors, especially in mint condition, you're not just holding a penny, you're holding a prize. Next, let's talk about the repunched mint mark, or RPM. This is especially relevant for 1980 D coins. Back then, mint marks were manually punched onto dies, which meant human error could come into play. Some mint marks were punched more than once, just slightly misaligned, creating a shadow D, effect that's visible under magnification. These RPMs are real collector favorites, and they can command a premium. Another rare sight? The off-center strike. When the blank planchet isn't perfectly aligned in the press, the design ends up shifted to one side, sometimes as much as 50% or more. If the date is still visible, and the error is bold and dramatic, this turns a regular penny into a collectible gem. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing it to spread out and appear slightly larger and flatter than normal. These are easy to spot and fascinating to collectors. And let's not forget the rarest of all, wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 1980 penny mistakenly struck on a dime blank. It's lighter, a different metal, possibly silver-colored, and missing part of the design. These wrong metal strikes are highly sought after and can be worth a small fortune when authenticated. Now let's explore another critical factor in determining a 1980 penny's true value, and that's condition. Most pennies from 1980 have been through it all, scratched, bent, pocketed, and spent thousands of times. But occasionally, a few survive in brilliant uncirculated condition. We're talking about mint state 65, 66, or even higher. Even without a dramatic error, a perfectly struck, glowing red 1980 penny can bring serious interest, especially if it's a full red RD designation, with blazing copper brilliance and no dull spots or signs of oxidation. The most desirable specimens? Combine that pristine red color with a bold mint error, and now you've entered the upper tier of rarity and value. But there's more. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint also hold great collector value. These 1980s pennies were not intended for circulation. They were struck with polished dies on specially prepared blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and sharp, frosted details. Occasionally, these coins end up in circulation by accident, or get passed down through collections and overlooked. If you ever find one, treat it like treasure, and don't overlook small details. 1980 pennies can also contain lesser-known die breaks, cuds, struck-throughs, and die cracks, each one creating a unique pattern that tells a story about what happened at the mint. These might appear as raised blobs, missing letters, or mysterious textures, and collectors love tracking these down. So what does all this mean? It means that the next time you look at a 1980 penny, don't just see a coin. See a mystery. A puzzle. A potential prize. Pull out your magnifying glass. Look at the date. Inspect the mint mark. Check the rims, the fields, the fine details. What seems ordinary could turn out to be rare. And what appears worthless could be worth much, much more. Because out there, hidden among old jars, forgotten drawers, or dusty coin folders, are a handful of 1980 Lincoln pennies that are truly exceptional. And one of them, an absolutely stunning 1980 Lincoln cent, struck with a rare mint error, perfectly preserved in high-grade red uncirculated condition, recently shocked collectors and sold for a remarkable sum of $75,000. That's right. From 1 cent to $75,000. So keep your eyes open. Keep your curiosity alive. And never, ever underestimate a penny. Because the next time you hold one in your hand, you might just be holding your own little piece of American treasure. Top 6. At first glance, it's small. It's simple. It's just a penny, the kind we often overlook, toss into a jar, or let slip between couch cushions without a second thought. But what if that tiny coin, dated 1981, no more than a single cent, could be worth a life-changing amount? Yes, you heard that right. Welcome to the incredible world of Lincoln 1-cent pennies, and specifically, the fascinating story of the 1981 Lincoln penny, a coin that, to most people, seems like the definition of ordinary. Until you discover what hides beneath its copper surface. If you're a coin enthusiast, a treasure hunter, or just someone who loves finding surprising value in the everyday, then this video is for you. Because what we're about to uncover might just change the way you look at pennies forever. Let's step back in time. The year is 1981. Ronald Reagan has just taken office as president. MTV is about to make its debut. Personal computers are making their way into homes for the first time. And amidst this technological and cultural revolution, the United States Mint is quietly producing billions of Lincoln cents. That year, 3 mints struck these coins: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, which struck proof coins for collectors, marked with an S. At first glance, the design looks familiar. It's the classic Lincoln cent that's been in circulation since 1959. On the obverse side, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile. "In God We Trust" sits along the top edge, Liberty on the left, and the year 1981 on the right. On the reverse, the powerful image of the Lincoln Memorial, flanked by the words, "United States of America" and 1 cent. But as any true collector knows, the value of a coin is never just in how it looks, it's in how it was made, how it survived, and what makes it different from the billions of others. Let's talk rarity, and more importantly, errors. The 1981 Lincoln penny is known among collectors not for how common it is, but for the rare mistakes that occurred during its minting point. One of the most sought after is the doubled die error. This type of error occurs when a die, the tool that stamps the design onto the coin, is misaligned during production. When this happens, some parts of the design are duplicated or appear doubled. On the 1981 penny, doubling can sometimes be seen on "In God We Trust," Liberty, and even the date itself. These are easy to miss if you're not looking closely, but for collectors, they're pure gold. Next, we have the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In 1981, mint marks were still being punched into dies manually at the Denver Mint. That led to some interesting results, such as a D mint mark being punched more than once in a slightly different position. When viewed under magnification, the result is a visible double D, a fascinating error that has become very collectible over the years. Let's not forget off-center strikes. These are dramatic. When the coin blank is not properly aligned in the press, the result is a coin that is partially blank and partially struck. If the date is still visible, collectors are willing to pay a premium for this kind of error, especially when the strike is 30% or more off-center. There's also the broad strike, a coin that was struck without the collar that shapes its edge. This error causes the coin to appear larger and flatter than usual. Combine that with a strong strike and an uncirculated grade, you've got a real winner. One of the most exciting errors of all is the wrong planchet error. In rare cases, a penny may have been struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank. These are easy to identify because the size, color, or weight is off. Some look silver instead of copper. Others are thinner or smaller. When authenticated, these errors can bring huge money at auction. But let's take this to the next level: coin condition. Even a regular 1981 penny, with no errors at all, can become valuable if it's preserved in pristine condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A penny that is mint state 65 or higher with no scratches, marks, or wear, especially with its full original red copper color, is a true gem. These are known as MS red coins. Most 1981 pennies have darkened or faded over time, but those that remain a fiery, brilliant red are extremely scarce. Now add a mint error to that pristine condition, and you've got a collector's dream. And then there are the proof coins, struck at the San Francisco Mint. These were made with extra care, featuring sharp details, mirror-like surfaces, and frosted design elements. Proof pennies from 1981 with unusual features, or flawless quality, can also be highly desirable. Some 1981 pennies even display fascinating die cracks, cuds, or struck through debris, all of which leave unusual shapes or textures on the surface. These errors tell a story. They reveal the imperfections of machines, the mistakes of men, and the rare moments when something went unexpectedly and wonderfully wrong. So what's the lesson here? It's simple. Every penny has potential. That dusty 1981 coin at the bottom of a drawer, the one glued to the back of your junk drawer, or sitting unnoticed in your coin jar, could actually be worth far more than its face value. All it takes is a little curiosity, a sharp eye, and some knowledge about what to look for. Search for that sharp doubling. Look for unusual spacing on the mint mark. Check for off-center designs or unusual colors. If you find something strange, don't ignore it. Protect it, and consider getting it certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Because among the billions of ordinary pennies minted in 1981, a few rare stars exist, and one of them, a 1981 Lincoln penny struck with a dramatic mint error, preserved in stunning red mint state condition, and verified by experts, was sold to an eager collector for an astonishing price of $72,000. Yes, you heard that right. $72,000. For 1 cent. So the next time you hold a penny in your hand, don't just see a coin. See a story? A moment in time. A tiny piece of metal that might just be your biggest discovery yet. Keep your eyes open. Stay curious. Because your next treasure could be hidden in the most unexpected place. Maybe even in your pocket right now. Top 7. Every once in a while, a coin comes along that reminds us why we fell in love with collecting in the first place. It's not made of gold. It doesn't sparkle like silver. It isn't covered in diamonds or encrusted with rubies. No, it's small, copper-colored, and worth just a single cent, or so it appears. Today, we're talking about one such coin, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a piece of American change that most people would overlook in a heartbeat. But coin lovers? Real collectors? They know better. Because buried in the billions of pennies struck that year are some incredible rarities. Coins with mysterious errors, hidden flaws, and perfect preservation that transform them from pocket change into prized possessions. So sit back, listen carefully, and prepare to see the 1978 penny in a whole new light. Let's go back in time. The year is 1978. Jimmy Carter is president. Gas is cheap. Disco still rules the airwaves. Star Wars is turning into a pop culture revolution. And behind the scenes, the United States Mint is continuing its everyday task of producing coins, including the humble Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years by this point. Since 1959, it had featured the Lincoln Memorial reverse, replacing the original wheat ears design. The obverse still shows President Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile, the word, liberty, to the left, the phrase, "In God we trust," above, and the date 1978 to the right. That year, the penny was produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint marked Denver, with a small D below the date; San Francisco, with an S used mainly for proof coins altogether. More than 11 billion pennies were struck in 1978, so yes, they're common. Very common. But not all 1978 pennies are equal. And that's where things get exciting, because a few of these coins, just a small handful, came out of the mint with errors. Some were struck on the wrong blanks. Others were misaligned. And some were struck with a mistake so rare that collectors have spent years hunting them down. Let's start with one of the most famous and valuable types of error, the doubled die. A doubled die occurs when a coin die, the metal stamp used to imprint the coin's design, receives more than one impression from the hub, slightly misaligned. That causes design elements like "In God we trust," "Liberty," or the date to appear doubled. This isn't just a visual trick. It's a real mechanical error, and when found in 1978 pennies, especially in mint condition, it can raise the value astronomically. Another important category of rarity is the RPM, or repunched mint mark. In the 1970s, mint marks were still being applied manually. That means some coins got their D or S punched more than once, but not in the same exact spot. Under magnification, you can spot these tiny shadows or overlays, and to collectors, they're like hidden Easter eggs. You'll also want to watch for off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank isn't placed correctly in the press. The resulting coin is partially blank, partially struck, sometimes 10%, 20%, even 60% off-center. If the date is still visible, the value jumps. Another spectacular error is the broad strike, where the collar that keeps the coin's shape fails, causing the metal to spread and the design to stretch slightly. These coins look noticeably different and can be worth far more than a standard penny. Let's not forget the ever-thrilling wrong planchet error. Sometimes, a Lincoln cent might have been struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime, or even a foreign coin. These planchets have different weights, colors, and metallic compositions, making them incredibly rare and valuable. And then there are the weird, wonderful oddities: die cracks, cuds struck through debris, and clipped planchets. These are all signs that something went wrong during the minting process, and while most people wouldn't even notice them, collectors pay close attention. But rarity doesn't stop at errors. One of the most overlooked factors in coin value is condition. Coins are graded on a scale of 1 to 70. Anything mint state 65 or higher is considered in excellent condition. But a coin that scores MS67 or MS68, with full red color, blazing luster, and no scratches or wear? That's a superstar. Most 1978 pennies have darkened, turned brown, or developed spots from years of use. But a full red, uncirculated 1978 penny is something special. And if it also includes one of the errors we've talked about, you've just hit the jackpot. Proof coins from San Francisco also hold serious value, especially when they have a cameo contrast between the frosted design and mirror-like fields. If a 1978 proof penny somehow ended up in circulation, or shows an unusual flaw, it could be worth far more than anyone expects. So how do you know if your 1978 penny is special? Look at the color. Is it bright red or dark brown? Use a magnifier to inspect the mint mark. Look at the rims and edges. Are they uneven, flat, or cracked? Examine the date. Is there any doubling? Weigh the coin, feel it, and if it seems off, get it checked by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Because some of these coins, and I mean only a few, have sold for staggering amounts. One particularly rare 1978 Lincoln cent, struck with a mint error, full red color, and preserved in pristine uncirculated condition, stunned collectors when it sold for an unbelievable sum of $85,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin, worth $85,000. So the next time you find a 1978 penny rattling around in your drawer, don't just toss it aside. It might be a common coin, or it might be a hidden masterpiece, a treasure hiding in plain sight. Because in the world of coin collecting, the smallest things often carry the biggest stories and the greatest value. Keep searching. Keep collecting. And who knows, the next great American coin discovery could be resting right in the palm of your hand.